Good morning, everyone. Well, what I want to talk about today is quality of life, sense of place, and also what kind of economic drivers we can have to begin to pull all this together. So let's start with on a large scale, the Department of the Conservation and Natural Resources in Pennsylvania here has divided Pennsylvania up into 7 conservation landscape initiatives. And the one that we want to talk about today is the Schuylkill Highlands, because that's where we are. And these are all based upon natural resources in that area, which really make them unique. But when they looked at the Schuylkill Highlands, they found something that was really pretty amazing. And what they found was something called the Hopewell Bigwoods. And what makes what they really found was pretty amazing is there's nothing like this. This is actually a global heritage. It's a woods of global significance. 73,000 acres. It has pristine woodlands. It has unique and rare and endangered species. 116 miles of trails. I mean, this is a pretty amazing place, and it's the largest unbroken woodland between Washington and New York City. What brought this here was the coal industry. I mean, the iron and steel industry, because this is where they actually sustainably created charcoal, and it's remained there all these years. Is one of the adjuncts of the iron and steel industry, which is really pretty neat. But when now there's, as I always say, it's one person who can make a difference. In this case, it's Carolyn Wallace, and she works for DCNR, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. And she realized that 2 things. One is only half of this land is preserved with public lands, and secondly, there's no money to preserve the rest of it. But this thing is so great that she really realized that we as a community, as a culture, really have to care about this. So she went to almost everyone she could think of, including her state agencies, local government agencies, nonprofits, and also the William Penn Trust. And she asked for money and came up with this terrific idea of a project to find out a way to preserve this. And that's how we got involved. And so so we look at what was this for? Well, it's for iron and steel. But what we started to go into this thing, she wanted to see what could we find a way to really preserve this. And so one of the things we looked at, what kind of assets are there to support it, and what do we need to really make this work? And we looked at a study area which involved 3 counties. It's Berks, Montgomery, and also Chester County. And an area we call the Middle Schuylkill area, which is from Reading all the way down to Valley Forge. And what we found was there's actually the highest concentration of really neat things in this area than any place else in Pennsylvania. The first was this one right here, which is iron and steel. And when you think of iron and steel, this is where the Eiffel Tower was made. I mean, that's pretty neat. And then also some of the greatest bridges in this country were made here. There's a wonderful legacy that comes out of this. And so there's wonderful stories to be told. And so, but we look at also, there's birding. I mean, this is where the James Audubon homestead is. It's right between Hawk Mountain and also the John Heinz Wildlife Preserve. And this is because of the Hopewell Bigwoods. This is a fantastic place for birding. But there's also fishing. And you think of the fishing here, Pennsylvania has some of the greatest fishing areas in the country. And we have some of the most pristine areas and rivers and some wonderful trout streams with natural trout. But we also have migratory fish along the Schuylkill, which we didn't have before, and wonderful lakes fishing. But there's also great heritage, historic sites. You've all heard as kids of Valley Forge, right? Well, there are over 1 million people that come every year to Valley Forge. But there's also the Daniel Boone Homestead. There's the Hopewell Furnace. There's all these historic structures, like even this building right here in Phoenixville. There's such a plethora of wonderful historic sites within the region. And then there's historic towns. What I love about the towns here in this Middle Schuylkill area is that they're gutsy, they're real, they're really tangible, and they're all different. They all have really unique stories to tell. but they're also beautifully connected to the natural area, so it's a wonderful experience to take part of, and it's not something that you see every day. More and more we'll be coming out every town USA, but not these towns. They're really pretty neat. And then we have farms and farmlands with these wonderful rural roads, again, historic properties, and then, of course, these wonderful scenic views and wonderful opportunities for biking. But I think the coup de grace are the trails. The trails are really awesome. We have hundreds of miles of trails, but they connect the towns to the nature areas. But what's really neat is we have two significant trails. We have the Horseshoe Trail. It's the longest equestrian trail in the state. It goes through 5 counties, all the way from Valley Forge all the way through to Dauphin County, where you connect with the Appalachian Trail. Then we have, which is potentially going to be not potentially, but it will become the most significant trail, is the Schuylkill Trail. That goes from Philadelphia, 140 miles eventually, all the way up to the upper Schuylkill. Right now it's only 27 miles. It comes right here to Phoenixville from Philadelphia. And it's so heavily used. And very shortly it's going to be 50 miles all the way up to Reading. But when it eventually becomes 140 miles, watch out, because there's going to be people here from all over the country to use this thing. It's going to be awesome. So, but in addition, we have, in addition, we have special events that take place all the way from March all the way to December, and these are for food, music, performing arts, you name it. There are beer festivals, wine festivals, and so many cool things to do here. So what we didn't find, though, is there are not places for people to stay. Reeves, you probably stayed in the Motel 6, you know, and but what we really need is really cool bed and breakfast or boutique places where we could go. We also need more restaurants. I mean, Phoenixville, you've done a great job, and so is Reading. But we need them all in between. We need places for people to go in those wonderful little river towns we have along the corridor here. We also need more parking areas where we've got all of our our trail stops and places where we can go fishing. We also need to market this. We need to let the world know that this is such a cool place, and also educate the people that there's such wonderful opportunities here. So what does this mean? Well, this area is great for tourism. It's not any town USA. This is a place that's worth to care about. And caring about is what we have to do, because this is a terrific asset that we can't afford to lose. And so people will come here from all over because it is unique. It's also authentic. Like I said, it has a wonderful little grittiness about some of it, but it's also gorgeous. But it also tells a story. Just the way that the area developed and evolved, and all the buildings and the history and the landscape is so great. It also has such a wonderful diversity. So if you're here for one thing, suppose you're here for birding and you suddenly just trip over this wonderful historic site. I mean, which you never expected to see. It's a wonderful way of people to experience new opportunities. Now, why will people come here? Because, as cynics, we often say, I know my backyard. It's like, I see it every day. It's not such a big thing. And if you talk to someone from New York City and you ask them if they've ever been to the Empire State Building, and they're probably going to say, no, that's for tourists, But symbolically, don't touch it. I mean, it's really important to them. But so, that sort of goes along in your own backyard. You take these things for granted. You don't realize this is what other people want to come see. And who does come to see this? Well, typically it's going to be your recreation enthusiasts. It's going to be people over 55 because they have some spare time. It's going to be people who are educated and they want to pick this stuff up. It's also people who want something to see, a unique experience, and something that tells a story, which this does so well right here in this region. So what you have in a nutshell is this is a great opportunity. This is it's a wonderful opportunity for jobs. It's for a wonderful economy that comes out of this. Tourism, by the way, is the second largest industry in Pennsylvania. Pretty cool. Globally, it's number 1. Think of that. In Pennsylvania in 2008, it brought in $40 billion. Can you imagine? That's a big chunk of our state economy. Trails are really awesome as an economic driver. The Allegheny Passage, and that was just completed in 2004. It goes from Pittsburgh all the way to Washington, D.C. And believe me, it's on my bucket list. I can't wait to do this. But in 2004, in that region, there was only $4 million in terms of tourism generated. In 2008, it jumped up to $40 million. Think of that. And so that means when the Schuylkill Trail gets going, it's going to be hopping. It's going to be a real driver for this area here. So, but tourism also equates to a quality of life issue, okay? And so, because it's, first of all, we're talking about our economy. It generates lots of jobs, a lot of income. Socially, it gives you a meaning to what your community is like. It really, a community pride, because people come here because what you have is special. And environmentally, it also creates a constituency for people who are smart enough to realize what you have you can't afford to lose, i.e. the Hopewell Big Woods and all the other assets that you have here, which is so cool. Now, what we have is, I want to just take a break and just tell you why this is so important and why this is so important to us as a community, as a people, and also nationally as a nation, about having a place that's so special. I want to read you something from a lawyer in Michigan posted on a blog recently, and I took this down because I was really moved by it. He says, "We have a patent law firm in Troy. We'd like to stay here in Michigan, but we have a problem. It's not taxes, it's not regulations. We spend more money on copiers and toner than we do on state taxes. Our problem is to access the best talent. There's a simple reason people don't want to live here. It's an unpleasant place because of its visual unattractiveness and because it's lacking the quality of living options other than tract suburbia. So some might call this poor quality of life. A better term might be poor quality of place, which is pretty wild. Then he goes on and says, the fundamental problem, it seems to me, is that our region has gone berserk in suburbia, or the experience of having any type of nearby open space or viable urban communities, which are the two primary spatial assets that attract and retain the best talent, the best human capital. I mean, that's why we're losing so many people. You know, we're a huge education center, and we can't keep the young people because we have to wake up and realize these are the assets that keep people here. This keeps the best talents, and you have it right here, which is, I think, is so exciting. Many communities suffer from what we call sameness. You know, you could be airdropped in almost many communities. You don't know where you are. You just get lost. You see the same McDonald's, the same Walmart, and whatever. Anytown, I call it Anytown, USA. And there's no reason to care for that kind of a community. But I'll give you an example. In Gettysburg, imagine the day that someone woke up and they looked out in that farm field and they say, wow, that's not a farm field, it's a battlefield. And it's pretty important. People are going to come here to see it. It's a huge asset to us. And over the years, they've fought for that battlefield. Remember when someone wanted to put a big high-rise tower up and overlook it? You know, they fought against that because they realized that would diminish the quality of that battlefield for the visitors who come. Right now, they're fighting with someone who wants to put a casino in Gettysburg because that's not who they are. Another example is, imagine Philadelphia decides, hey, you know, we can't make the budget this year. I think we can hawk the Liberty Bell, you know? You know, what would that do to Philadelphia if it lost the Liberty Bell? I mean, that brings in millions of dollars to the city of Philadelphia. So we have capital assets here, which are gold mines that we can't afford to lose. So where do we go from here? Well, just yesterday, we continue to meet on a quarterly basis with over 60 partners throughout the region. And these partners consist of state agencies, county agencies, local municipalities, nonprofits, conservancies, chambers of commerce, business people, individuals are all working together to make this work because we realize these assets are too important. And so what we're looking to do is educate people. We're looking to gear up, convince new entrepreneurs that there's a huge business opportunity out there and new programs can be developed. We also want to spruce up our communities because we got to roll out the welcome mat. We also need to market, and we also need to protect what we have. So what's really key is this. This is our raw materials. I showed you before our old raw materials, and not really nothing, which is it's the charcoal. But these are our new raw materials. As I say, it's the birds, the fish, the bikes, and the historic sites. And these are the things that we need to nurture. These are the things that we need to protect, because this is our future. Thank you very much.